Hello, everyone. Oh boy, oh boy. So, it's Tuesday, and I know normally you see me on Facebook, on Erica Parrott Facebook, around this time of day doing Things For You Tuesday. But I am taking today off from that for multiple reasons. One being I had a few wellness consults scheduled today, and I have some new blogs that are going up, but that's kind of why we're here, but we're really here. What's going on, Lucy Ebony? It's long time no see. But today I just wanted to stop and talk a little bit about our spiritual journeys and wellness. Why are these important, and why put them together? Because everything in life intersects in some way. And it's no different when it comes to our health and our wellness, be it our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, or financial health. They all end up intersecting. If you aren't eating what's correct for you and fueling your body correctly, then you probably most likely won't feel great at showing up to do exercises, at showing up to work and performing at your best, showing up in your free time to be able to spend that money. Like, do you even feel like it? So, our wellness is just as important to our everyday life, especially spiritually, as all of the other parts of us. This week I've kind of just been reminiscing and sitting back and just giving thanks and gratitude and really weighing where I've come from in the last 4 years since going viral to where I sit now. And, the one thing about my brand that has definitely not changed is you gotta raise your threes at the same time, or you're always going to find yourself going back to pick something up and mature it. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's say this week you decide, I'm only going to focus on my mental health. That's all I can focus on. Okay? But fueling your body correctly goes into your mental health. Are you focusing on that aspect? Or are you just focusing on the thoughts and keeping the anxiety at bay and all of that? Because if you're not focusing on what you're putting in your body, then you're possibly not helping your body to focus, to show up so it can restore. Right now, a lot of people are coming to the realization that to honestly, truly heal, you've really got to give your nervous system some attention. And I've been diving into the nervous system a lot more, along with some other helpful digital resources that go around how do we support our nervous system. What is it even needing from us? Like, what is it even rooted in, right? Like, how's it been nurtured? So I kind of opened the discussion up over on Buy Me a Coffee surrounding the nervous system and what it honestly is asking for and needs for you to get to that soft life that you deserve, that you've maybe even gotten a glimpse of. And well, I'm here to let you know it is possible to achieve. So, we're over there breaking down the conversations on things like that. Now, there's something else that I have noticed that has definitely carried the same tone throughout my being viral and being able to be here with you all, and that is this statement, because it's ironic. I actually had someone ask me the other day, we were talking after I started dropping the get to know me reels, and they were like, you just say it plain, you don't care. And I'm like, no, it's not that I don't care. It's that I've become very aware of what is my responsibility and what I'm accountable to. And every day I'm picking that apart when I'm met with situations that might be different, or I might have that question like, is this mine to be worried? Or, okay. So, we're having conversations over there on Buy Me a Coffee as well in the community about what is our power, standing in our power and owning it and being responsible to it and nurturing it and using it in wise, responsible, multiplying kind of ways, right? But what I told him was this: the reason I've been able to continue to show up, not be emotionally tore up or running with my emotions leading while being here online is I understand and operate in, I am responsible for what I say. I on no day am responsible for how who hears it, understands, and interprets it. I know where my responsibilities lay. So it allows me to freely move a little easier. So, if you find yourself not moving so easy in life and always wondering, oh God, should I have, come on over. We opening that conversation up. There's some tools and resources that can even help you move through that with a little less, because I know it ain't easy. It's not at all. But, my community is all about intersection, because that's our life. Everything intersects. So while, yes, I do have 2 separate spaces here online, this is one of those moments where, much of what I do on my personal and wellness brand page is also gonna happen to be over here. Perfect example. One of the consults I was doing this morning, we were talking about their metabolic health. Now, people so often are like, I ain't trying to age. I'm trying to look younger. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. I get it. I understand. But I always ask people, while you're grabbing all this topical stuff, what are you doing for your insides? Because, see, aging actually has to do with our cellular level. It goes down to the cellular level. So the same way you might look at me or someone else and you're like, damn, they don't match their biological on the birth date clock age. They don't look it. Okay, well, guess what? I bet their cells probably don't look it either on the inside. Now, here's the kicker though. Your age, your cellular age, has nothing to do with your numerical age. Perfect example. You ever met those people that you're like, oh, I didn't realize you was that young? Because they looked way older, right? So you're probably dealing with someone whose cellular age is a lot higher than their actual biological age. So, when we start talking about how can I better give myself a better quality of life and quantity, we got to start getting deeper. It's not just the surface, it's the depths of it. And when I was a kid, it was ironic. I got really sick at the age of 5, and I got hospitalized for 2 weeks. Now, my grandmother, who was taking care of me at the time, when this happened, so let me give you a backstory real quick. So around the age of 4-ish, right after my baby sister was born, my biological mother went back to fully being who she was. So she'd be out in the streets, not be home, whatever. Well, she also had a job when she went to it that was out of town. And so she was out of town sometimes. Well, when she had come back home is when I ended up in the hospital. She had been back home for a month at this point, and then about 3 weeks into her being like in the house full time, I land in the hospital. Now, back in the day when I was 5, doctors were still doctors in my opinion. They teamed up with their patients. They didn't just come in a room and start trying to take over, and they didn't come in a room and overtalk you. They came in a room and talked to you, not at you. So I had a doctor, I'll never forget his name. His name was Dr. Wiseman, of all names. Dr. Wiseman. He was my pediatrician, and when they hospitalized me, naturally, they call him first, blah, 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 because what happened was we were out eating, and at the table before I could get up, I just started vomiting profusely. It was almost like there was so much food, which there wasn't, at least to my knowledge, because I hadn't eaten in a couple days. I hadn't felt good. But it felt like in that moment there was just food compacting on food, compacting on food. And when I went to drink something, everything just came out. So I had a slight fever, everything. So they rushed me to the hospital, right? They end up admitting me because then they're like, okay, she's severely dehydrated. There's this going on. There's that going on. You're telling me she can't keep food down. So we're going to start running these tests, that, and the third. Next thing I know, I'm in a personal room at 5. My mom comes back. She's got like a bag that's got clothes and like my stuffed animal. And I'm like, what the hell? We moving in? Yeah, you're going to be staying for a little while. We don't know how long. And then it was just a series of trial and error. And the first thing I remember them doing was they took everything out of my diet. and started adding things in here. Little, they would do one thing, try this, try that. Well, it was funny because in all of this, my grandmother was the only person who was not like, we gotta go, we gotta do, the hospital. She was the only one. But you know what else? She was also the only one who said, I'm not going to the hospital to see Erica. Now, before y'all be like, that was harsh, let me stay with me. If I called her on the phone and was like, I'm so bored, talk to me, we'd stay on the phone. She would be on the phone with me and out in the garden. She'd take the cordless phone out with her. We'd talk all damn day. I'd still garden with her from my hospital bed, okay? We still have morning tea and devotion. But she wasn't coming to the hospital. And it was in the event when it was all over and she and I really, really talked about it. It made complete sense. But she said, it's not that I'm telling you there's nothing wrong with Erica, but food is not her problem. And I don't honestly think in my gut it's a health issue. It's stress. And that's all she said. And then I was like, yo, you crazy. She 5. What's somebody like 5 gonna be stressed out about? Okay, well, first off, y'all who kept sitting there saying there's no way a 5-year-old could be stressed were also the same someones who thought the sun rose and set out of Pam's ass. That's why I was stressed. My mother was home. Well, in the scheme of me being in the hospital and they're removing things from my diet, taking blood tests every other fucking hour, like it was just kind of like, it was funny because like by the 4th day I was like, y'all, ain't nothing wrong. Like, I'm eating, I'm fine. Y'all keep drawing blood. Y'all starting to make me sore. I'm a little mad about that, but other than that, I'm fine. Can I go home? And they're like, no, because we still don't know what it is. Well, that evening, it was funny because like hospital food, y'all know, is bland as fuck. Even back then, it was bland as fuck, okay? And so like I would call my grandma and be like, please send me some greens. Please send me some oxtail, right? And then she'd be like, I can't, Erica. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with you. And I'm like, but you said nothing's wrong with me, so I'm gonna need you to send me some greens and oxtail for dinner. Well, she wouldn't do it. But my mom was like, oh, I'm just gonna give her what she wants. Well, instead of her bringing me food that night from home, she went to Long John Silver's, which was right across the street from the hospital, and brought me my favorite meal from there instead. She stayed with me. I ate it. Here's the kicker. That night, I'm in the bathroom throwing up. I've got fucking diarrhea. Like, it's coming out of both ends at the same time. And immediately, the nurses are like, what did you eat for dinner? Like, they're on it. They're like, what did you eat for dinner? I'm like, I don't think it was a Long John. Like, it was so good. They're like, all that grease and you've not had a lot of grease in your system. Like, what the hell? That's probably what's wrong. So here we are, extra blood test that night, yada, yada. Well, guess what? My blood test came back normal. So it wasn't the Long John Silver's. So the next night, my grandmother says, screw it, I'm going to take her dinner. So she did. She came. My uncle drove her. My grandmother never had a license. So my uncle drove her to the hospital that evening. She sat with me. We had dinner. We talked. We laughed. We watched some cartoons. She left. I went to bed. No issue. Dr. Wiseman came in the very next morning, first thing, and stops the nurse in the middle and said, you know what? I'm going to try something today. And he called my mom and asked her to bring me lunch. No sooner than I got done eating lunch, I was sick. My stomach was in knots, everything else. I actually didn't get through my lunch. Dr. Wiseman called my grandmother and he said, Emma, I think he was right from the get-go. He was like, stress is her problem. So that evening, he didn't let anybody come for dinner or lunch. It was just me. And guess what? My food, my intake was just fine. So the conclusion actually ended up being I had not one medical thing wrong with me, but stress actually is a motherfucker on the body. And I was 5 and ended up learning that. So that's why sitting here at 39, I'm like, y'all, let's get this nervous system together. I know how detrimental it can be, and you might be thinking it's something else when it's really just this. Let's start here. So see, when you come hang out with me and buy me a coffee, we ain't just looking at things here. We gonna look at the bigger picture. When we sit down and have wellness workshops, we're gonna bust it wide open. We're not just here to hang out and occupy space. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm like the next person. I love to do things where I have fun, but hell, I want to enjoy those fun things, right? So that is why I show up every day, even on the days I don't feel like showing up, because at some point that might be the day that was the only time that person was going to be online. That was the only way that was going to see that. So, you know, that's why I show up, and that is why I'm so passionate about what I do. But I'm also not naive. I can't spend all my time here on social media. That's just, there's millions of you. Heck, just this morning I was going through analytics, and this page alone is being seen by millions of viewers every 30 days. Granted, y'all see only got 2,000 some followers, but this page is like 1,500 followers, but there's millions of people this is touching. Like, my actual posts aren't even being seen by my followers. It's my non-followers are seeing my posts more than followers. So that is why I show up, because you just never know. But that is also why I'm very adamant about, we all got to understand what is our lane of responsibility and what is our lane of accountability, because those are two separate things. Sometimes you might be responsible only for something. Sometimes you might be both, responsible and accountable. But it's when we start trying to take on all that other extra stuff and not taking a moment to introspect and see what's mine and what's not, is when we start creating all these extra stresses. When you end up in situations like I did at 5, in the hospital, getting poked and prodded and all your meals taken from you to figure out what is wrong with your gut. To only learn nothing, stress. You need to undo some things, let some things go. You know, I was working this morning on a blog after I finished up with that wellness consult about metabolic health, and when people say things to me like, you know, I can't do extra, blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing extra. I live on a budget. This is America. I don't know about you, but I live on a budget. And there is nothing that I'm doing for myself that is extra. It's necessary. The protein that I choose to buy, it's clean and it's filling in the gap when I am sitting on a fast, but my body still needs to restore, you know. But it was crazy because I gave them a percentage this morning, and her mouth dropped. She was like, what? I was like, you do realize that only 7% of the U.S. population have what is considered optimal cardiometabolic health. I was like, so even me sitting here talking to you, I understand I need to fill in the gap. I don't care how conscious I am. There's just so many things outside of my control. But at the same time, if I can control what's going in my body, which also is feeding how I focus, how I show up in discipline, then it starts clearing the way of a whole lot of other bullshit, right? You ever heard that saying, when you're doing the 80% more than the 20, you kind of can usually get away with doing other things? It's true. It is very true. So, you know, I simply show up to remind you. It doesn't matter what part of you feel like needs more work. All of you needs the same amount of attention every day. Your mind, your body, and your soul. You know why? Because if you don't pay attention to one of those three in the day, you're going to get ahead with whatever you are paying attention to, but then you're going to meet that moment when you're not really ready to take a break because you need to be, you know, keeping on this stride, but you're going to be met with a situation where you don't have a choice but to stop and go pick up and mature all the things that you was like, oh, I'll get to them in a minute. I'll do it later. I promise you, it's so much easier to elevate it at the same time and not have to keep going back and forth. That's why I created the Buy Me a Coffee, because the things that are pouring out of me and the tools and the resources that I have to share with the world, well, social media cannot contain all of that, but the site I created definitely can. And it even allows us to be able to connect further and do one-on-one consults, or you join into a public workshop that's going on, be it in the mind, body, or soul department. So, you know, so I just want to give you a little insight on, when you're on Buy Me a Coffee, how it works. There's a few of you who have been supporters since the day I created the Buy Me a Coffee site, and for that, I thank you. I appreciate you. Now check this out. If you've previously supported, that means you have access to everything that's within that level and below it, right? So that means every post that's on my site, if it says supporter only, you have access to it. All you have to do is log in with the email that you used when you originally came to my site. If you don't remember what email that was, send me a DM. I got you. I know who everybody is. You're on my email list. I got it converted over into a nice little Excel spreadsheet. So just DM me. I can tell you what the email was, okay? And if you forgot your password, you can reset it while you're there and go right in and start enjoying any of the support blogs. And below, you got it. Now, if you've never supported on my site, support is a one-time thing. You can support for as little as $5. And then that unlocks every present supporter post and past one. So you have access to everything you just heard me say for the ones who have always been there as supporters. Now, for those of you who want that one-on-one ability and you want the what I like to call the really deep dive extras, which is where I even go into doing behind the scenes things of like remedy put togethers or recipes for life or health or food. Okay, now you're talking, you want to be more of a member. And that means you're not just supporting me, but you're supporting yourself. We are here supporting one another together. It gives you a much deeper access. So then you start getting access to all of the member-only things, which are, there's some really great deep dive resources over there. So yeah, so it's an experience. And at the end of the day, you choose how you experience it over there. I'm just simply thankful that I'm honored and thankful that you want me to be a part of that sharing and journey with you. So remember, eat foods that bring you and makes you feel alive. Now, before somebody goes and twists what I said, I didn't say go eat vegan, because I know that's what somebody heard. What I said was eat foods that make you feel alive, okay? Everything has an energetic exchange with it. So if you aren't sure where your foods are being produced and how they're being raised and how they're tended to during harvest, guess what? Use a little bit of extra love and a little bit of extra pouring into when you are creating your meals, okay? But when I say foods that make you feel alive, I mean foods that when you eat them, you don't immediately want to go, oh, fuck, I ate, I'm full, I'm tired. Because I'm going to tell you what, I can eat a full meal that's full of nothing but meat, which is really good for my blood type. Talk about that on another live. But anyways, I eat a lot of meat, right? And so like, people would think, oh, so you probably are No. I eat a lot of meat. I can eat meat at fucking 9 o'clock at night. I eat a whole plate full, and I'm still going to go out and run. I'm choosing where I get my meats from very wisely, okay? I'm not just going to Walmart, Target, or whoever. I'm not getting them mass produced. I have stopped what I was doing when I relocated to find all the things that I already had back when I was in West Virginia. I had a personal butcher who raised their own cows. Okay, cool. Watch this. I live in a city that we got nothing but country and suburbs around us. And I also know we got a ton of Muslims. I know we got a ton of kosher everywhere because this is a melting pot. I'll be damned if Walmart is where I gotta go shop just because I live in the city. You want me to tell y'all what I found when I sat down and scoped out and did my research? I have found me over 30 farmers markets that I frequent, 15 of them regularly. I have found me kosher butchers who raise their own, butcher their own. I have. So remember, people, what you put in is what you gonna get out. So if you keep thinking that the easy route's gonna get you there, well, you let me know when you get there how it turned out. Have a great day.